Please, don't try what you're about to see at home.
Well, there's your problem.
In this special series of Mythbusters,
It's almost too exciting.
the Dream Team tackles their dream themes.
It's scientific!
Testing myths about everything from electricity to pressure and gravity.
This one hurt a bit.
Shaking down the science of shockwaves, velocity, and ballistics. With crazy chemistry,
Oh my goodness.
far-out physics,
Fun for the whole family.
and insane explosions.
Is everybody okay?
Life's burning questions answered. On Mythbusters, there's your problem. On this episode,
You are crazy!
we drop some jaw-dropping myths
I'm terrified. I'm totally excited.
about gravity
That was such a rush.
and later, inflation is rising. With 3 myths about balloons.
This is my favorite scale experiment we've ever done. Full stop.
Falling or floating, we've got you covered.
Now that is what I call a party.
First up, or rather down, it's the elevator of death.
Now, the myth goes that you're in an elevator, the cables are cut or something, you're plummeting rapidly towards the bottom of the elevator shaft, and right at the very last second, you jump as hard as you can, and that saves your life.
Oh yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Yes, the Mythbusters are going to drop an elevator down a shaft. Just before it hits bottom, the test subject will jump in the air to see if he can counter the effect of the falling elevator and come safely to rest. First up, they need a tall building with an elevator they can drop and destroy. Seems like a tall order, but incredibly, they strike gold.
Is that it?
I guess that's it. It's an 8-story building.
A derelict hotel now scheduled for demolition, with elevator service as well, of sorts.
There's the motor. What's left of it.
Getting the elevator working will be no small task. The cables haven't moved in years, and the motor is a wreck.
In theory, if we could tie power onto that, we would have a working elevator.
It's a long haul to the top of the shaft. 8 floors, 9 counting the basement.
92 feet to the top of the pulleys.
92 feet to the dead bird.
To get to the bottom of this legendary myth, they have to figure out a way to raise and drop the elevator, and how to get Buster to jump up at just the right moment. But how high and how fast? Time for a human test.
All right.
In their short moment of acceleration, the average top speed generated was just over 8 feet per second. Now, they need the stunt dummy to replicate that.
I need to figure out how to make Buster jump. I think I'm going to have to use some kind of spring because I don't want to go for the gunpowder.
A car spring inside overlapping tubes with a quick release catch,
There we go.
There, okay.
with Buster riding shotgun.
Giant industrial pogo stick.
Now that looks like a good jump to me.
It's time for Buster to fly or flop.
Well, that wasn't very much at all.
So it's back to the springboard, but with a bigger spring and a couple of gallons of duck fat.
Tastes like French fries.
Test 2. Will this give Buster a bigger kick in the pants?
Ready? Well, that was a good jump.
jump.
Nearly 12.5 feet per second. More than enough to give this myth a fighting chance. But will it be enough to break Buster's fall? Or just break Buster? Now for the sticky problem of those elevator wheels. If they can't get them working, this myth is stuck between floors. But Jamie has a gift for thinking outside the box.
I had an idea that I might be able to modify an electric vehicle that I built. It's a prototype that I have back at the shop.
Meet Jamie's Life and Death Machine, or LAD for short. With applications for law enforcement, fighting fires, and hopefully operating ancient elevators. Multi-purposing is the Mythbusters' middle name.
Okay, ready? Hey, that's it.
Remember, the elevator hasn't moved in years.
Jamie, that looks great.
Yeah, baby! Couldn't be happier.
I think Jamie's rig is a classic Mythbusters rig. You know, we have to lift an elevator, and Jamie says, oh, I've got a robot in the shop that we could modify to lift this elevator.
Obviously, elevators are designed not to fall. Fortunately, the Mythbusters wrote the book on disabling safety systems. So first, dump the emergency brake.
Anticlimactically enough, I believe I've disabled the entire mechanism by removing this simple pin.
There's also a counterweight that balances the elevator car. It's got to go too.
We are cutting the cable. Stand by.
The drop mechanism's attached. A movie special effects quick release.
When we get upstairs, we'll be able to pull a pin, and this whole car will drop. You know, working with these dirty cables, I can't tell you how hard it is not to touch Jamie's white shirt. I just want to touch it, make it dirty.
They're ready to board. Final call for passenger Buster. But how to trigger Buster's jump at just the right moment before he hits the ground?
Okay, Buster, this won't hurt a bit.
Adam's tying off a trip line at the top of the shaft. That will pull the release on the launcher when the elevator's 6 feet from the bottom.
Looks about perfect to me.
If something goes wrong, somebody could get killed here.
No kidding. Getting insurance for this stunt was harder than finding an elevator to destroy.
We're about to drop an elevator. I'm beside myself.
It's all gonna be over in a few seconds. And with a big boom, what else could we ask for?
Jamie and the team are in the basement. Adam's 9 floors up, quick release in hand.
I'm terrified, I'm totally excited. Ready to drop. In 3, 2.
Bon voyage, Buster.
Oh my God! That blew my face back.
That was such a rush. It was just like this enormous blast of air.
The overhead camera shows Buster's pogo stick launched right on cue. But did it save him?
His head's gone.
We've got an arm. I believe this is more damage than we've ever done to Buster in one myth before.
By the bottom of the shaft, the elevator and Buster were falling at 53 miles an hour. Buster jumped up at 12 feet per second, or 8 miles an hour. Enough to hit the roof, but he still hit the ground at a fatal 45 miles an hour.
Well, you know, you might be weightless relative to the elevator, but you and the elevator are going down at 53 miles an hour. So unless you can jump up at 53 miles per hour, you're dead.
I think we've done all that we can here. I think this myth is definitively and finally busted.
This next myth from the movies is all about terminal velocity and wind resistance. From the movie Point Break.
That's the one where Patrick Swayze jumps out of the plane with the only parachute. Adios, amigo! Gets into skydiving position. And then Keanu Reeves freaks out 15 seconds later. No shot! Jumps out with no parachute, but gets in a streamlined position and catches up to Patrick in 45 seconds.
You are crazy!
To see if one adult human really can fall faster than another, Grant starts with baby steps.
I want to do a small-scale experiment first to demonstrate that objects with the same mass but different shapes will have different terminal velocities, and that's because the difference in wind resistance.
Terminal velocity is the maximum speed that something can fall through the air. It's when the force of gravity is matched by the force of wind resistance, preventing that object from falling any faster. But can subtle changes to its shape affect how fast an object falls? Grant hastily knocks up a mini wind tunnel and 2 mini skydivers of identical mass, in different falling positions as per the myth.
One in the arms and legs out position for maximum wind resistance, and one in the straight position for minimum wind resistance. I'll put them both in the wind tunnel and see what the difference is.
First, the spread-eagled skydiver. When the wind speed is strong enough to hold him stationary, that's his terminal velocity. Carrie clocks the wind speed using an anemometer.
Okay, what'd you get?
We're looking at a pretty stable average of about 1450 in feet per minute.
Okay.
Next, the streamlined skydiver. If this myth is going to fly, his terminal velocity has to be higher.
I got about 2,000 feet per minute.
Oh, fantastic.
So, proof of concept, tick. Better streamlining equals faster falling. In Toy Town, at least. But can real human beings fall at different speeds? To find out, they hit a supersized skydiving wind tunnel, where the instructors are head over heels in anticipation. Gigantic turbines shift 1.3 million cubic feet of air a minute, so they can replicate a skydiving freefall, perfect for their Stage 2 tests.
We're here to see how changes in wind resistance affect terminal velocity.
So what's the plan?
I say we just get in there and try different body positions and have some that are more wind resistant and some that are less and see how we behave.
We're gonna go to some hot nightclubs in San Francisco.
I expect I'm gonna walk in there, to make sure it's working, and I'm probably gonna get tossed around like a rag doll.
With the wind howling, Tori tries out Patrick Swayze's spread eagle position. And he floats, confirming Swayze should have been traveling at 120 miles an hour. The terminal velocity of a standard falling human. Next up, Carrie tests Keanu's vertical position, and she doesn't fly, meaning if this were for real, she'd be falling faster than Tori.
I think this is a great demonstration of how your surface area affects your terminal velocity.
But it doesn't tell us exactly how fast Carrie would fall. Even at 150 miles per hour, she's still grounded. Only when she untucks does she fly. So there's only one way to test this myth, and that's for real. With our handsome hero from 15,000 feet.
Skydiving!
Next up, Skydance skydiving. With the moment of truth fast approaching,
Do we really need to test this myth?
Tori's wild enthusiasm has gone AWOL.
When everybody else is doing it, you're like, haha, that looks fun. But then, when you're about to get up in the plane and do it, a lot of things go through your mind, like death. I just gotta remember to breathe, not my pants, not throw up, not pass out, not scream like a little girl. Oh yeah, and open the parachute. That's an important one.
Here's the plan. When the plane reaches an altitude of 15,000 feet, Tori and his tandem buddy will jump out, assume the spread eagle position, and plummet to Earth. 15 seconds later, a specialist skydiver heads off in hot pursuit with streamlined pose. But will he fall fast enough to catch up with Tori, as in the movie?
I'll be timing the whole thing. Once you jump, I start the timer, wait 15 seconds, then I'm going to signal your catch-up diver and let him go on after you.
All right, let's do it.
With Tori finally on board, it's chalks away.
I'm taking your tools.
But as the plane soars to its target altitude, our hero gets that sinking feeling.
Is it too late to change my mind?
Too late now. You're going out the door.
There's no turning back. Terminal velocity is about to take over.
The plane hit 15,000 feet. Tori's reminding himself to breathe and his eyes are bugging out. The tandem skydiver pushes him to the edge right outside the door. He jumps.
Tori and his buddy assume the spread eagle position. With twice the mass of one person, they need a small control chute so they don't go faster than Swayze's fall of 120 miles per hour.
10! I count 15 seconds in so that I can signal the catch-up skydiver to jump out after him. 15! He just soared down as fast as a bullet, and then everything just kind of went white.
After 15 seconds, Tori's already plunged 3,000 feet. But the specialist diver's bullet position means he hits an eye-watering top speed of 250 miles per hour. Can he reel them in? Incredibly, after only 20 seconds, and just as Tori's about to pop the chute, the chaser not only catches up, but actually overtakes them.
Oh my God!
Just like the can-do Keanu.
Incredible! That was insane!
Nice!
Dude! That was insane!
So, did the guy catch up to you or what?
Yeah, we jumped out. 15 seconds later, he jumped, and right as we pulled our chute, he was like right next to us.
You're kidding!
You're darn tootin' he's not. The chaser traveled nearly 7,500 feet in only 20 seconds and caught up with Tori, just like the movie.
So it turns out, given enough altitude, you actually can jump and catch up to someone who has a 15-second head start.
How are you gonna top that one?
I don't know.
Gravity is all about how masses mutually attract. The bigger the mass, the greater the gravitational pull. So you wouldn't want to be standing beneath, say, a falling car. But how about a falling coin? This next myth is an urban classic. At around 1,280 feet high, the Empire State was once the tallest building in the world. And it's home to one of the tallest tales in myth history.
The myth is that if you throw a penny off of a building this height, it'll embed itself in the concrete at the base of the building, or it'll hit somebody in the head and kill them.
The simple way to test this would be to toss a coin off the top and see. But if the myth were confirmed, Adam and Jamie would be busted. So instead, they have to apply some science in lab conditions.
We need to figure out how fast a penny would be going if it fell 1,280 feet, what kind of damage it would do. I think we need to go back to the shop and test it.
Calculations show that the terminal velocity of a penny should be between 35 and 65 miles an hour.
I used to be able to juggle them.
But complex equations aren't the Mythbusters' style. So Adam sets up a mini wind tunnel to test it for himself. At the bottom, wind speed is clocked at 65 miles per hour. Holes in the tube allow the air to dissipate, so the speed at the top drops to 35 miles per hour. If the penny stays in the tube, then the equations are correct. Bingo! Adam's one happy Mythbuster. If only Jamie were as excited.
This matches the math, the complex equations that we have showing the velocity. I think we should go for a worst case scenario, like 65 miles an hour.
Okay, works for me.
This is excited, Jamie?
Yeah, this is
We got a
game.
world first. It's going out on television that we did the experiment that showed exactly how fast a penny goes. No math, no ideas, no timing off a building. We got it right here in the lab.
It's great. Good job.
Enthusiasm isn't Jamie's strong suit, but he needs to get a penny firing at 65 miles per hour. And luckily, MacGyvering is right up his alley.
I don't like to go through a whole elaborate process and days of machining something only to find that it was the wrong approach.
So he quickly modifies an industrial staple gun into a penny-firing pistol and modifies a penny to make it fit.
Whoops. We should get out of here. That's mercury vapor there. Well, that worked.
On the bright side, the pistol definitely fired. But how fast did that penny fly? Cue high-speed camera.
We've modified the staple gun to accept the penny. We're firing it and tracking it, recording how fast it goes.
So here's firing a penny into a concrete block. The penny traveled 3 feet in 16/500ths of a second, which amazingly is right on the money at around 65 miles per hour.
Terminal velocity gun right here.
Meanwhile, Adam is making a stand-in for the myth's unlucky passerby, using real bone wrapped in ballistics gel.
Okay, stop.
Jamie's improved the penny pistol to fire a full coin.
Damn, that is some serious impact there.
And they're good to go. This myth has been doing the rounds since the Empire State was built. Now it's finally about to be tested. First up, can a falling penny bury itself in pavement? In an instant, the decades-old myth is busted on both asphalt and concrete. But what about flesh and bone? The myth says a penny falling at terminal velocity would pierce the skull. This one's for the money.
Lights. Perfect hit.
The penny pierced the thin layer of ballistics gel, but the skull stays intact. Unlike Adam's common sense. He's aching to see what happens when this penny hits skin first hand or first butt.
Go ahead, shoot me in the ass.
So here it is, Adam's ass on the line for science.
Oh, that hurts. Oh, man.
It's painful proof that at terminal velocity, a falling penny would kick butt.
You said I could. I always enjoyed seeing Adam in pain. I'm not sure what it is.
But lethal, it ain't.
So you made that great gun. We made the pennies go 64 miles an hour. What did we end up with?
Well, the myth's not looking good.
Okay, time to ramp it up to see if a penny can be made to go fast enough to do some serious damage.
Anytime we get to play around with explosives and gunpowder and, you know, cool weapons and things like that, here at Mythbusters, we're happy campers.
So Adam sets about modifying a high-powered rifle.
Test firing.
The coin will be fired from a special aluminum barrel, attached to the rifle like a silencer. The rifle itself will be loaded with a blank round. When it's fired, the expanding gases from the cartridge will explode along the barrel, propelling the coin from the slot with bullet-like speed.
Firing in 3, 2, 1. The high-speed camera result apparently is 3,000 feet per second.
Well, that's like a bullet. That's the speed of a bullet.
But there's still no penetration. And there's your problem. Force equals mass times acceleration. Even at supersonic speed, a penny weighing just 2.5 grams simply doesn't have enough mass to break through concrete, asphalt, or bone. Unlike a real bullet, which in this case is 6.5 millimeters of solid lead.
1.
Now that's penetration. It's a face-melting finale, but the penny myth isn't worth a dime.
I hate when that happens. Eliminating all the things that are in the penny's way from just reaching the ground. 64 miles an hour just wasn't enough to cause any kind of damage to a person. And then when we made it go almost 3 times the speed of sound, it still wasn't enough to break the bones.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing I can come up with is if you were looking straight up in the sky and you got hit in the eye, it probably wouldn't be very good for you.
I think we busted the heck out of this one.
Myth busted.
Yeah.
Time to switch track. From going down to up and away with some balloon-based myths. And beware.
These things are always catching on fire.
Once you pop, you cannot stop. For our first myth, Adam and Jamie are going to try and solve a decades-old balloon-based mystery.
So what's the myth?
The myth today has to do with the cause of the Hindenburg disaster.
In 1937, the giant German Zeppelin Hindenburg was coming into land when it suddenly burst into flames over New Jersey. 36 people died. History's largest airship was reduced to ashes in just 34 seconds.
Doesn't everybody know that that was caused by the hydrogen, which is the reason they don't fill blimps with hydrogen anymore?
Not according to our myth. Our myth states that the cause of the Hindenburg disaster was its skin, specifically the dope and paint on its skin.
The Hindenburg was filled with hydrogen, which is lighter than air, but its cotton skin was coated with a kind of paint called dope, which made the fabric taut and waterproof. The dope's ingredients included aluminum powder and iron oxide. Put them together, and they produce an extraordinarily explosive substance called thermite. Could it have been this paint, and not the hydrogen, that caused the fatal fire? Before building replicas of the ill-fated airship, they're going to investigate the chemical reactions at work. Adam builds a test box using the same cotton fabric and paint as used on the Hindenburg.
The dope-covered fabric that I've got covering this box for this test represents the top half of the Hindenburg. It is a layer of butyrate dope and iron oxide covered with 3 layers of butyrate dope and aluminum powder. Ladies and germs, here we go.
Hydrogen is pumped into the box, and Adam introduces a naked flame.
Whoa! Okay. Is everybody okay?
Yes, but we really think you should have more stringent safety procedures in place when you go bigger scale.
How big do you think we can go?
I don't know, like 10, 12 feet?
Well, if we go 16 feet, that's 1/50th scale. That's a nice round number. You think we can do that?
They'll build 2 16-foot Hindenburg scale models and coat them with the aluminum iron oxide paint. One will be full of air, the other hydrogen. If the hydrogen Hindenburg burns faster, this myth is busted.
Look at that. That is very, very cool.
By following the original Hindenburg blueprints, the Mythbusters are building blimps smoothly. Until Jamie decides to break out the welder.
Oh. These things are always catching on fire. That is the textbook definition of irony, kids.
The last thing they have to do is apply the dope, and the models are complete.
Now, we're gonna blow up some Zeppelins.
Their blimps are pimpin'. At 16 feet long, each model is 1/50th the scale of the actual Hindenburg.
We've got these figures from a train set. These are 1/50th scale. Check these guys out. That's how big an actual person would have been with the Hindenburg. This thing was massive. This fire must have been just the most unbelievable thing that anyone that day had ever seen.
The blimp skin matches the Hindenburg's exactly, right down to the dope formula painted on its surface.
The first test is just the blimp without any gas, no hydrogen, and we're just going to burn the skin and see what that does.
To avoid another, is everybody okay moment, the room will be a strict no-go zone during the test. To set fire to the blimp remotely, Jamie rigs a blowtorch on a stand.
This is a test number 1. Period, correct skin, no gas. Ignite when you're ready. That looks good. You're right on target. It's going. That was quick.
The Hindenburg burned in 34 seconds. For the myth to be plausible, this Hindenburg has to be consumed in a similar time.
But yeah, we're already at 1 minute, 10 seconds.
So we could have burned 2 Hindenburgs by now, and we're only like not even a quarter of the way through this.
Suddenly, the flames take off like, well, wildfire.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Sparks cascade as the aluminum and iron oxide on the skin create thermite.
Bang. 2 minutes, 6 seconds.
It's a lot quicker than I thought it was going to go.
That's almost 4 times longer than the real Hindenburg took to burn. On to burn number 2. This dope-coated Zeppelin will be filled with hydrogen.
We're gonna feed it from the hydrogen tanks through this blue gas hose up the main strut and into a trough of water. And the trough of water is going to diffuse the hydrogen across the entire Hindenburg.
If this hydrogen Zeppelin burns faster than the first blimp, the paint theory will be punctured once and for all.
You're lit.
As the flames take hold, the hydrogen is fed into the mini Hindenburg.
Whoa!
More hydrogen. More.
And the blimp is instantly filled with flame.
What's our time?
Boom. Wow. 59 seconds flat. That just feels exactly like what we see in the newsreel. God, it's great.
He's right. Their test and the 1937 footage look eerily similar.
This is my favorite scale experiment we've ever done. Full stop. The period skin plus the hydrogen burned twice as fast as the period skin without the hydrogen. Doesn't get much more definitive than that kind of result. It's busted.
Yeah, but you know, the skin actually did have a fair amount to do with this. We saw that it does burn aggressively, and it was clearly a part of what was going on here. We even saw little bitty thermite reactions, which tells us that, like any good myth, there is a grain of truth to the fact that the skin had something to do with thermite.
But in the end, it was the hydrogen plus the skin.
Yeah.
We're calling this one busted.
Busted.
For our next story, Carrie, Grant, and Tori are investigating a very balloony myth that could also be baloney.
Two clowns are driving to a party. The clown on the passenger side has a big bunch of balloons.
What happens? They go out of control and crash the car?
Exactly. Now, the driver clown is wearing a seatbelt, so when they careen into a wall, he's fine. But the passenger is not.
And the balloons save him?
Exactly.
It's a myth that makes for one heck of a headline. But can a bunch of party balloons really act as an improvised airbag and cushion a potentially fatal blow? To simulate a crash full of clowns, they're going to drop a car from a crane.
All right, bring in the clown.
Now, we've calculated that if we raise the car 41 feet from the bumper to the ground, we can achieve a 35-mile-per-hour crash.
The dummy clowns are rigged with accelerometers. If their G-load passes 100, it means it's a fatal crash.
Now, the theory here is these balloons are going to act as an airbag. Now, the goal of any airbag is to slow the passenger's forward motion as evenly as possible in just a fraction of a second. I'm not sure these balloons are going to function that way, but it's sure going to be fun to find out. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. -1. Oh.
Now that is what I call a party. I don't think they survived it, though.
The high speed shows the passenger who wasn't wearing the seatbelt pushed past the balloon barrier and connected with the windshield. Not surprisingly, the stats show the balloons didn't save the clown's life. It experienced 350 Gs to the head and a 620 G-load to the chest, over 6 times the survivable limit. But the myth isn't popped yet.
So it turns out an average bunch of party balloons is not enough to save your life in a car crash. But it's not such an outlandish idea. An airbag is an inflatable, and so is a balloon. Maybe there's a balloon out there or a configuration of balloons that we could make that would save your life in a car wreck.
To find out which balloons might be better lifesavers, Grant's going to build a balloon crushing rig.
Good. I've added this plunger right here with a 50-pound weight. Now, the idea is that we drop this onto each type of balloon. Using the same weight and the same volume of balloons each time, we can compare and find out which type of balloon absorbs the most energy.
First, a control with no balloons. The result is 100 Gs. Then the same latex party balloons used in the car drop,
2, 1.
which aren't much better than no balloons, at 98 Gs.
I'm making a pterodactyl.
Next, balloon animals.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's an octopus.
Balloon animals in 3, 2, 1. That worked pretty good.
That worked better than I thought it would.
With a radical G load reduction to just 6 Gs.
We got 6 Gs from the balloon animals?
Yeah.
All right, giant party balloons.
We got 2. I think we have winner.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
Reducing the G load from 100 to just 2, these giant latex balloons are the winner. But could they save a clown's life?
This is like how we used to pack for family trips.
Take her up.
Now remember, if he goes over 100 Gs, the clown is dead, and so is this myth. All right, this is clown car drop with our best latex balloon. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
I think it might have worked, man.
I think that clown may have survived.
Now, in the high speed, you actually see the cars start to compact. The balloons separate just enough for a clown face to peek through and a clown nose to dust the windshield and then start to go back into the car as if the balloons are bouncing him back.
All right, Byron, how'd we do? Did either guy get under 100 Gs?
Now, you'll remember he sustained over 600 Gs with just the party balloons. But this time, only 130.
It's a huge reduction, but there's still no way a clown or anyone else could survive that kind of G-load.
So it turns out, even with our best balloon, the oversized latex balloon, we were not able to save the clown's life. So this myth is busted, but we're not gonna stop there. This is Mythbusters. It's time to ramp it up. So we're gonna go back to the shop and see if we can come up with some kind of configuration of balloons that could save the clown's life.
They test a bunch of different balloon configurations and combinations.
That looked really good.
The best turns out to be Grant's version of giant bubble wrap.
In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, we got a couple of pops, but hey, maybe more than a couple.
All right, let's see what we got.
You got 1.7.
Hey, that's great. Now what we need to do is make 15 or 20 of them and stuff them into every part of the car and see if it saves the clown.
Probably better if you don't watch.
In their final drop test, the guys stuff the car so it's literally fit to burst.
You guys are packed in there like sardines.
That ought to do it. Now, with this last and final test, we're trying to get below 100 Gs on our clown. That is our benchmark for survivability. We have balloons on sheets of plastic. That way the clown can't push through the middle of the balloons, and if one little balloon breaks, it's not gonna create a big cavity where the clown can actually fall into the windshield.
If packing the clown car with giant bubble wrap doesn't work, nothing will.
All right, here we go. This is bubble wrap in 3, 2, 1. Oh. It did not look good.
Okay, so the passenger's head peaked at 220 Gs and his body at 230 Gs.
Wow, so the clowns actually experienced a bigger G-load than in the previous test.
So party balloons are not a substitute for airbags or seatbelts.
Stop clowning around.
For our final myth, Adam and Jamie are going to challenge a well-worn idiom.
Have you ever heard the expression, going down like a lead balloon?
You mean like, that'll never happen?
Kinda, but it more commonly means a joke that falls flat or an epic fail. In myth-busting terms, though, it's simple.
The myth is that it is totally impossible to make a balloon like this one out of lead.
And so we're gonna build one.
Lead's defining characteristic is it's heavy. That means it surely can't be made to float like a balloon. Or can it? Turns out impossible isn't in the Mythbusters vocabulary.
This balloon is made of fabric that's extremely light and very strong. We're going to be building a balloon that's very heavy and very weak, so not so easy. Hello?
To stand a chance of making this work, they need a wafer-thin layer of lead.
Sprechen Sie English?
Turns out a supplier in Germany makes lead foil.
What this may look like is a box full of rolls of foil that weighs about 30 pounds. In fact, this is our lead balloon. Oh, look, it's beautiful.
Beautiful, but very, very fragile.
The problem is this. It just kind of falls apart. It's like, almost like wet toilet paper. There's not going to be any room for error.
They build a quick prototype.
Ah, I found a tear.
And it becomes clear that the main challenge, aside from the weight of the lead, is its tendency to tear.
You're going to ruin it, aren't you?
The biggest problem that the lead is giving us is that it's delicate, and we can't go lifting up huge sheets of it to tape these complicated seams. So I'm going to try and design a way to make a cube so that we lay it out panel by panel, flat, and then we can inflate it. It works. All right. There it is. That's the deal.
With the design and construction map worked out, Adam crunches the all-important numbers.
Roughly 11 kilograms.
His design will require 640 square feet of lead, weighing the equivalent of 24 pounds. They'll use helium, the second lightest gas after hydrogen, to hopefully give the lead balloon lift.
Gonna make a lead balloon!
They're at the Alameda Naval Base to attempt to assemble and fly the world's first lead balloon.
We've chosen this because we got plenty of room to fly, we got no wind, we got a nice flat surface to build on, so this is going to be like a medical procedure. Okay, everybody, this is no walk zone.
Here's the plan I worked out in the shop. It's 12 steps, 12 pieces of lead. Each square gets assembled over on the assembly square and then put together on the home square.
With rubber gloves to protect against what is, after all, a toxic material, the guys begin building the ambitious 12-step plan.
It is hard work.
Almost as bad as picking strawberries.
But we've got something strawberry pickers don't.
What we have here is the largest clear tape dispenser in the world.
Simply insert an atom to tape in all those awkward, hard-to-reach places.
I've never built anything like this before. The final result's going to be about 7 or 8 layers thick in some places. That's as thick as one of your hairs. That's how thin the material we're working with is.
It's painstaking work. 4 hours becomes 8, then 12.
It's all working out quite well right now. It makes me a little nervous.
Adam's origami-style model is coming together.
Slow down, slow down.
Everybody slow.
Okay, stop, stop.
And he's hoping after the final piece is taped into position, it'll inflate seamlessly.
I want this thing looking like a real inflatable balloon, like with a basket and with passengers. Yes, Jamie and I are gonna go for a ride in the lead balloon.
It's going up.
You gonna man the valves?
I'll do that.
All right.
Adam is understandably nervous. His clever design is on the line. And as Jamie opens up the helium, one thing's clear.
It's gonna take a while.
If that tape sticks someplace that it's not supposed to, if something catches, it can rip, it can tear, things can come apart. This is the hard part.
With the ever-present chance that a tear could quickly turn this into a disaster,
I'm nervous.
Jamie starts filling the cube not just with helium, but with air as well.
We're putting air in this because we think we actually have too much buoyancy. We want it to just barely come off the ground, otherwise we're liable to rip something.
It's looking good, it's looking good.
At last, the genius origami structure slowly comes to life.
I don't see any major holes, I don't see any major failure points, but I'm keeping a close eye on it.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the design. It unfolded and twisted out just the way it was supposed to. Whether it flies or not, I don't know, but your plan worked.
I'm really psyched about this one.
But as it gets bigger, rips and tears appear everywhere.
I got a hole. Hold on to it, hold on to it. Hold on, that's it.
Thanks to Adam's patching jobs, their lead balloon is airborne.
I still want more balloonness out of it.
I know.
Finally, it's time for the test. Will the lead balloon actually float with a basket and mini Mythbusters attached?
Dude, that is a lead balloon.
I am really pleased. We might have been able to get away with a smaller balloon, but this is a lead balloon. We did it.
That worked beautifully. It's perfect. 11 kilos of lead hanging right over my head. And if I let this go, it's going up. It's just amazing.
Well, I tell you, that might be ridiculously impractical, but, you know, if someone says it's impossible, we just take it as a challenge. Busted idiom.